Okay. So we'll start from where we had led. We are on the ending part of the chapter 1 of Bhagavad Gita, on verse number 40. Not here, maybe 43 is what I was thinking. So just to give a small recap, yeah, just to give a small recap, Bhagavad Gita is a part of the Vedic knowledge. It comes in the Purana Mahabharat. Sorry, it comes in the Itihas Mahabharat, history, and it is considered Upanishad also because it consists of philosophy, and um, and it is considered as Shruti and Smriti both. Shruti means that one has heard, the absolute truth has come directly, and Smriti is the absolute truth. The knowledge of that absolute truth is expanded by the sages, by the acharyas, by the sages, by the sadhus. So Mahabharat was written by Vyasadeva. When the actual Mahabharat war happened, after that he wrote. So it is a Smriti composed by sage. But within Mahabharat, Bhagavad Gita was spoken by the absolute truth. So therefore it's a Shruti, which is originally heard from the Supreme. So that's why Bhagavad Gita is Upanishad. It is Shruti and Smriti, and it is the topmost Upanishad because it talks about it talks about knowledge which is transcendent. Transcendent means it's beyond this material knowledge. To simply to understand what it means is, throughout our life we have been taught so many subjects, so many topics like physics, chemistry, mathematics, biology, finance, economics, governance, administration, etc. This knowledge is actually material knowledge. That knowledge by which we can make a living, and even Ayurveda, by which we can make a living and we can live in this world peacefully, is all material knowledge. Whereas transcendent knowledge is spiritual knowledge, which talks about um, knowledge about who we really are, about what this world is, what is the source of it, and how did it come about, how it is working. You know, so that knowledge is transcendent knowledge, and Bhagavad Gita mostly focuses on that knowledge. So therefore, it's the cream of the Vedas. The Vedas are 1 raised to 10, sorry, 10 raised to 10 shlokas. It's such a huge, like 10 zeros after one. You know, you can imagine how many texts are there in the Vedas. And Bhagavad Gita is just 700 verses. So 700 verses are the cream of it. You must have eaten ice cream. So there's a cream on top of it. Upon that, there's a cherry. So people like to eat that, especially children, they like to eat that because that is so sweet, that is so soft and everything. So the essence of the whole Vedas is inside the Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita is considered very important. Now, Bhagavad Gita was spoken at a time of war when two armies they met, and it was spoken by Lord Krishna to Arjuna 5,000 years ago when Arjuna and his cousins Duryodhan they fought over a property. So it was a property fight, and Arjuna and his brothers they came. Uh, they were not given their rightful kingdom. So they had many negotiations, and the last negotiation they did is they told Krishna told, I will do this negotiation, and Yudhishthir Maharaj said, okay, do this negotiation. Yudhishthir Maharaj is elder brother of Arjuna, and he said, uh, instead of the whole kingdom, just ask for 5 villages, because Duryodhan has rejected. He's stubborn, he's not listening. So we don't want to go for war. We don't want to sort it out on a battlefield. We are family members. So I will reduce my demand. I'll say forget about the kingdom, my own kingdom, only give 5 villages. We have 5 brothers, so 5 villages. I don't even want cities. I don't even want towns. I want village. Now, in a village, there may be, 50, 60 people. So 5 villages will be like 250 people. So Duryodhan could take the whole of India and he could just give 250 people to Yudhishthir thought that Duryodhan will agree. And when Krishna went there and he told Duryodhan, they are only asking for 5 villages. Duryodhan said, I'm not going to give a land which is equal to a tip of a needle. And then he insulted Krishna. And then Krishna said, you are forcing a war on us. And then there was a war 5,000 years ago in the month of December on a particular day called as Ekadashi, which is today called as Gita Jayanti. On that very day, the war started. And in the very first hour was when Bhagavad Gita was spoken. And in the and we were reading from the very first hour uh, what is the scene out there. So the two armies are facing each other, and Arjuna on his chariot. Let me just show you. He tells Krishna, take me into the middle of the battlefield. I want to see who all have come. You can just imagine if there is a court case and between family members, and they have all arrived at the court, to fight it out in the court. So one person says, let me see who all has come, who all wants the property. So similarly, Arjuna said, take me in the battlefield, let me see who all have come to fight it out. And then something happened. We'll start from there and we'll come to our today's sloka. So yeah, so he saw Arjuna could see his grandfather Bhishma, teacher Drona, and a lot of his relatives, like those who are of his father's age, grandfathers, teachers, maternal uncles, brothers, sons, grandsons, friends. So all of them had come, father-in-law and well-wishers. All of them had come. So it was not a friendly match or something. It was not a cricket match that they were all come to see. No, it was a fight. And it was not a fight of like, without weapons. It was a fight with weapons. And the result was that one will live, other will die. So thinking that all my friends and relatives have come and they are not on my side, they are on the opposite side, and I'm going to fight with them and I'm going to kill them, or they are going to kill me. I'm going to lose my grandfather. I'm going to lose my teacher. I'm going to lose my father-in-laws, my uncles, my brothers, my grandsons. It's a war. Thinking all this, Arjuna became very compassionate. There's a feeling came into his heart that what is he doing there? Is this right? And therefore he says to Krishna, we'll just go to the PPT. Okay, I didn't cover that, but yeah, okay. So he told to Krishna that I don't want to fight this war because I see only bad results coming out of it. I'm going to lose my family members. I'm going to kill my seniors. And then he thought of from the social perspective also. So last 2-3 weeks we discussed about the social perspective. Is that he said, the elders in the family will die. If the elders die, who will train the youngsters? Generally, it is the elders, the parents, who and the grandparents and the uncles and the teachers. They train the young generation, right? That's why we go to school. Why to get trained, to get educated and all. Now, if the parents are only not there, the elders are not there, who is going to train them? And if they are not trained, then all kinds of traditions will stop, because they won't know what to do, what not to do, right? And then when family traditions are stopped, there'll be irreligion, immorality, and unethical behavior all over. Um, there'll be immoral and unethical behavior spread all over the kingdom. And then the children, the old people, and women, they will be exploited by these immoral people. And from them will come a progeny, that is children, who will not have good qualities in them. So they will be unwanted. And these progenies will also, they don't know what to do. They won't be trained. So they will completely destroy the family tradition. They will destroy even community projects. So he was talking about community projects also. They will destroy that also. So he was saying that there's only destruction in this whole process. And we were last time discussing that in a war, such things happen. When um, when World War II took place, so many men died, especially in Germany. After that, a complete tradition in Germany was lost. You know, so many women, they were widowed, children, they didn't have father. So the population that came out from them was completely, they didn't knew what to do. They had to be trained by somebody else. So that's the effect of war. And last time we discussed one important country. Presently, it is like for last 20-30 years, there has been continuous war in that place. Not even 20-30, maybe more than that. 3-4 decades. Last time we discussed that name of the country. Can anyone name that country? Starts with A.
Afghanistan, you say?
Yes. Yeah, we discussed about Afghanistan. That so much of war has taken place over there, and men have died, and women, they have become widowed. Their children also died. The children are orphaned. Now you get a population which is not even trained in the basic things, right? So Arjuna, 5,000 years ago, he could see all this in future by that war that is going to take place, and he was involved. So he could see all this, and therefore he was thinking whether I should take part in this war or not. So he was right all in this thinking. So we'll go to today's verse, and we will we'll take from text 43. So if there is any question or comment, you can interrupt me in between, or you can type in the chat whatever your question may be. Utsanna kula dharmanam manushyanam janardana narake niyatam vaso bhavatiti anushushuma. O maintainer, O Krishna, maintainer of the people, I have heard by disciplic succession that those whose family traditions are destroyed dwell always in hell. Last time I said, when family traditions are destroyed, life already becomes hellish. What to speak of the actual hell that comes after death? Even presently, life becomes hellish. And we discussed in this point that in Afghanistan, we are seeing that life is I mean, what is the standard of life right now? You all must have seen the news that people fell from the aeroplane when the last aeroplane of United States took off. They climbed on anything that they could hold on the tire, anything, and they fell. At least 5-7 people fell from the air and they died. So what kind of life is that? There is no food, or if there is food, then it will be like uh, okay, the recent last week I heard that they are selling their kidneys to buy food. And the person was saying that, okay, and he showed that he had sold his kidney, and he told that, for few weeks I can now feed my family. So just for few weeks, he sold his kidney, and what kind of life is that? That is anybody hellish life, right? Hellish means it's it's not even a sane, it's insane life. It doesn't make sense. It is poor. It is even below poverty. It is very troublesome. There is no standard in it. It is only misery. If we go to the root of the hell, it is simply misery. There'll be only troubles. While sleeping also there'll be trouble. While eating also there'll be trouble. So any activity one may do in a hellish life will be always troublesome. So Arjuna bases his argument not on his personal experience, but on what he has heard from the authorities. So he says here that I have heard in disciplic succession. This is an interesting thing. What is the meaning of disciplic succession? Disciplic succession means you learn from a teacher, and that teacher has learned from his teacher, and that teacher has learned from his teacher. Like that, it goes in a chain. So at the end of this introduction, we have this chain which tells the authenticity of what we are, the Bhagavad Gita that we are reading, Bhagavad Gita as it is. It tells the authenticity of it, that where is the disciplic succession? What is the parampara? That is the technical word. What is the disciplic succession? Like, let's say a university opens down the road, so wherever you're staying, say, let's say a new university just opens up down the road, and it says engineering college, and it says international technology, something, something. Now, if somebody wants to uh, get their son to admitted in that college, what is the first thing they will see? They will see whether it is bona fide, right? They'll see if it is government approved. They'll see if it is under AICTE. They'll see if it is under IETE, or they'll see it's under IEEE. They'll start looking at all the accreditations and the authority, the qualifications of that university, right? And if the university claims and it shows the document properly that yes, we are connected to the government, we are connected to the actual authority, the educational authority, educational board, even within India, then we will be okay, fine. I can, the person will be then okay, okay, my son can admit here. Similarly, the Bhagavad Gita as it is that we are reading comes through the disciplic succession. Like I was saying, the teacher should learn from his teacher, and his teacher should learn from his teacher. Like this, the chain should be there and should start from Krishna. So that's how the bona fide and the true knowledge is passed down in the Vedic literature. So in the Vedic times, it is passed down. The knowledge is passed down, and it is not only through books. It is through a teacher-disciple relationship that the knowledge is passed down. So similarly, Arjuna had a teacher, and he had learned from this that what would happen to people whose family traditions are destroyed. They will live in hell. So, so he is confirming that, saying that I have heard this from disciplic succession also. If you have heard about court cases, court cases uh, that are fought in today's court here in High Court, Supreme Court, local court, even around the world also, international court or courts in America, UK, you will see one thing the advocate will do. They will, when they fight, they will first look at the law, what the law says, and what this person do whom they are trying to defend, and they will look at a similar case which has happened in the past, and if there is a favorable verdict given in the past, now that past could mean 10 years past case, or a 20 years, or 100 years, or even 150 years, they will point it and they'll say the judge that the same case scenario had happened 150 years ago, and the judge at that point had given this ruling. So they'll say, in our succession of our judicial system, this case has already been fought, a similar one, and there such uh, justice was done. You know. So similarly, I ask for the same thing, or I may ask for something else, something like that. So this is how they will protect. Similarly, Arjuna is saying, I have heard from disciplic succession also. It is not just that I am making up. I've heard it from authorities. So he's backing up his statement. He's backing his argument. So, so this is an important point for us. A lesson to learn is that whenever we speak, whenever we argue, we should have a good backing. Now that backing means what? Backing means it should be from an authority, right? It should be from authority, like like you know, uh, we there was a case in Andhra Pradesh where in a school two kids were fighting. What happened is one kid had given the another kid a pencil and he didn't return. So the kid fought and the one who owned the pencil, he said, I'll take you to the police and they will decide. And the other child was also simple person, innocent people. They went actually to the police station, and then the police, made them be friend and gave them pencil and done with it. But the point to make here is that that the person, the owner of that pencil, he made a very nice point. He said, let's go to the police, let's solve it out there. So he was looking for authority. In a family, if two kids are fighting, they'll call mother, right? Or they'll call father, because they are authority, they can resolve, and they have faith in them. And if there is some authority which has already given word, which has already given a law, and we can use that, then we can say that law as a backing to our argument. So we should not argue baselessly, we should argue with a backing from the authority. And that's how Arjuna was basing his argument from. So that is the way of receiving real knowledge. So even if this real knowledge means both knowledge, okay, material and spiritual, both should have a backing. Now I will ask you a question. Suppose a person comes and he says, I'm a doctor. I have read 150 books that are mentioned in the whole syllabus of MBBS. Are you going to accept him, the doctor? Are you going to accept him as doctor?
No, I don't think so.
And what more are you looking into him?
150 books is too much. First of all, it doesn't look like that. It is possible. And the other thing is, I will personally look at her degree, his or
Degree, right?
her degree. Yeah.
So one can just print that degree, right? But what actually happens at the degree? That the students are getting trained in person under a under a already trained doctor or a teacher, right? So two things are there. They also learn bookish knowledge in the MBBS college, and second thing is they get personal training under a experienced doctor. Getting? So two things happens, and then one gets a real knowledge. Real knowledge means where he can implement that knowledge. Otherwise that knowledge becomes just a theory and remains with us. When knowledge is be able to implement it, then it is called Vigyan or science, where we can implement it. So the real way of receiving knowledge is when one is not just bookish, but he has actually learned it from a teacher also. So both things are required. Book is also required, teacher is also required. So Arjuna had gone through that kind of training, and we also go through that kind of training, right? In our school, university, we learn under a teacher. So that is very important. Similarly, spiritual knowledge also needs to go through that same uh, system of receiving it through a teacher by personally serving him, personally asking him questions. And second is through the books. The teacher should not make up his own philosophy and say this is spiritual knowledge. No, it should be based on books. Now, even the book should not be something you get down the street or something someone has written. No, it should be the Vedic literatures which are written aparusha. Aparusha means they are not written by man. So some of the concepts we will read and discuss more in the later chapters. But the point here is one cannot reach the real point of factual knowledge without being helped by a right person who's already established in that knowledge. So we need a person, the same point I was trying to explain. We need a person to be trained under, and that person is also trained in that knowledge. Okay. There is a system of Varnashram Institute before by which before death one has to undergo the process of atonement for his sinful activities. One who is engaged in sinful activities must utilize the process of atonement called prayashchita. Without doing so, one will be surely transferred to hellish planet to undergo miserable lives as the results of sinful activities. So this is a technical thing that there are hellish planets. There are some planets where there is hell and punishment is given. And one can avoid by undergoing this prayashchita. Prayashchita meaning there are two things to it. There is a physical activity and then there is the attitude. The attitude is I am sorry for all the improper activities I did. And then there's a physical activity of sacrifice and charity and tapasya. Three things. So by doing that in the right attitude, that I am sorry for all the mistakes I did in the present life, that is then that is called as atonement. Or you must have heard some prisoners, they sometimes get 20 years of jail or something, but then after 10 years of jail they are released. Do you know why? And one of the reason that comes up is that he has atoned. So you must have heard this correctional places. A jail is actually a correctional place. So if the criminal comes to the point that yes, I did a mistake and I'm ready to be a good person, and then he's observed by the jailer, by the people under them, that yes, he's trying to be good and he has not done any criminal activity in the jail also, and he has changed. So then they say there's no point of keeping him in the jail. The another name of jail is actually, the technical name of jail is correctional institute. If you ever go past by any jail or something, you'll see that it is not just written jail, it's written correctional. It's a correctional place. So before dying, Vedic system also gives the same thing. It's called prayashchita. Before dying, one should then atone for his sinful activities by performing physical sacrifice, charity, and tapasya. And attitude within the heart should be repentful. That is also very important. Just uh, just making a show bottle doesn't work. Aho bata mahat papam kartum vyavasita vayam yad rajya sukha lobena hantum swajanam udya udyatata sorry udyatataha. Alas, how strange it is that we are preparing to commit greatly sinful acts driven by the desire to enjoy the royal happiness. We are intent on killing our own kinsmen. So Arjuna is regretting that I'm killing my own family members. For what? Royal happiness. And that is very strange and it is very sinful. I will discuss this point. I have made a PPT. Driven by selfish motives, one may be inclined to such sinful activities as killing one's own brother, father, or mother. There are many instances in history of the world, but Arjuna, being saintly devotee of the Lord, is always conscious of the moral principles and therefore takes care to avoid such activities. So we are living in this today's world, and every day we hear this kind of news, which you can see on my screen. Hmm? Gambling debtor. This story happened in Sacramento, California, United States, where um, a person named Ernie Shearer, Ernie. So he killed his parents. Why? Because he was a gambler, and he lost a gambling match. Actually, multiple gambling match he lost, and he had to pay the debt. So he knew that there is a $2 million inheritance from his father mother after they die, and he needed that money. But for that they had to die. So he himself came and killed them, and he was jailed. So you can just see how Arjuna is also thinking like that. That you know, it is very strange, for just for royal happiness, I am trying to kill my own kinsmen, my own people. He also did the same thing, and then I picked up many other news also from India. Another man, like 37-year-old man, addicted to gambling, killed his father. A Lucknow man killed his parents and brother. A girl killed the parents' brother for love. Hmm. Interestingly, she forgot that even parents and brother loved her. Her definition of love was, she didn't apply it to them. Huh? So she killed them anyway. So if sinful activities, these are very sinful activities, criminal activities, and they're driven by greed, lust, and anger, and they're driven by desire to enjoy. And our desire to enjoy is there. We want to enjoy. We want to enjoy life. We want to enjoy. But what is the problem in doing this? The problem is, if we desire to enjoy selfishly, just for my cause, or just me, then all such criminal activities will take place. Hmm? We'll read the next verse and we'll come back to the same thing. Hmm. Yadi mam aparik aprak sorry yadi man pratikaram ashastram shastrapanayah dhritarashtra raner hanyus tanme shema taram bhavet. Better for me if the sons of Dhritarashtra, weapons in hand, were to kill me unarmed and unresisting on the battlefield. It is a custom, according to Kshatriya fighting principles, that an unarmed and unwilling foe should not be attacked. Arjuna therefore decided that even if attacked by the enemy in such an awkward position, he would not fight. He did not consider how much the other party was bent upon fighting. All these symptoms are due to soft heartedness resulting from his being a great devotee of the Lord. So, this is what he was thinking, that let them kill me and I won't resist at all, but let them live. I don't want to kill them, and I don't want to do this sinful activity. So he was soft-hearted person. Can you imagine? He was a soldier and he was soft-hearted also. In the very first hour of the fight, he's thinking all these things. So if Arjuna was in the above situation, he was not thinking of killing his own kinsman. Now we have a contrasting example. Mr. Duryodhan. And we seldom discuss his attitude. In the text 9, he made clear what he thinks of everyone. Now we came to know what Arjuna is thinking. Okay, Arjuna is thinking, I don't want to fight, I don't want to kill my own kinsmen, you know. Now in the verse 9, we come to know what Duryodhana is thinking. He's thinking this thing. There are many heroes who have prepared to lay down their lives for my sake. This is Duryodhana saying that many warriors have come and they are ready to die for me. All of them are well equipped with different kinds of weapons and all are experienced in military science. So what he's saying is, I don't care whether they die for my purpose. I get my thing. That's it. This is his attitude. Compared to what Arjuna's attitude, this of compassion and soft-heartedness, kind-heartedness, Duryodhana's attitude is completely selfish. Like I told you, the Pandavas, they first reduced the demand to 5 villages. They wanted to avoid this war at so much that they reduced it. They thought of grave consequences of the war. Sorry. They were respectful to their seniors like Bhishma and Drona. Duryodhana was not respectful to Bhishma and Drona. In the Bhagavad Gita itself, in the very first 2-3 verses, Duryodhana speaks. Uh, Third verse. So Duryodhana is saying, he's saying to Drona, behold the great army of son of Pandus. He's saying, look at the Pandavas army, so expertly arranged by an intelligent disciple. Your own disciple only arranged this. Whose name was Drishtadumna. Okay, the son of Drupada. Now, interestingly, he doesn't say Drishtadumna, he says son of Drupada. Drupada Putrena. Now, why the word Drupada is used? The reason is Dronacharya and Drupada were in the same school and they were actually friends. But, and in that, Drupada once told Dronacharya, out of friendship, he told, I will give you half of my kingdom. And Dronacharya is a Brahmana. He thought, yes, I'm going to get. So after the school years, everything ended. Drupada went back to his kingdom. Dronacharya was a Brahmana, a priest. So he remembered that he had promised me. So he went back and he said, Drupada, you had promised me you will give me half the kingdom. So give me. Drupada said, that was childish. It was like boy friendship. You know what? There is nothing truth in it. You go away. How come you even think that I'll give you? So Dronacharya felt insulted. So he didn't have a job and he got the job of training the Pandavas and all. So after the Pandavas, they graduated from his school after many years of learning. They asked Dronacharya, what is the Guru Dakshina you want? Guru Dakshina means out of gratitude, what I want to give you a gift, my Guru. At that point, Dronacharya said, I want the gift of defeat of Drupada. So Arjuna and his 4 brothers, they went and they fought with Drupada and they defeated him. And after defeating, they gave the whole kingdom to Dronacharya. And then Dronacharya said, oh, I don't need the kingdom. Drupada, you keep it. And then Drupada felt insulted. That just to insult me, you defeated me, killed my army, and now you throw back the kingdom back to me like one throws food on the ground. So he felt very insulted, Drupada. So he did a yagya. From that yagya came 2 people. One was his son Drishtadumna, another was his daughter Draupadi. So Drishtadumna, so when Draupadi got married to Arjuna and the Pandavas, Drishtadumna became the brother-in-law, and then he was very expert in uh, he was very expert in warfare. And it so happened that Drishtadumna learned that same warfare from Dronacharya. And Dronacharya, being a priest, as a teacher, he was unbiased. Even though he knew that this is a son of my enemy, someone whom I insulted in the past, he said, still, you have come as a student, so I'll teach you. So now, the word Drupada is a painful word for Drona. Can you understand this thing? It's a painful word. Why? Because there's a fight, right? So if two people fight, right, even the name of the other person becomes painful to hear. So Duryodhan was very political. He didn't say Drishtadumna, he said son of Drupada. And he instigated and he said, you made a mistake by teaching this son of Drupada, Drishtadumna, and now he has come up with great army, expert arrangement. In this war, I don't want you to do the same mistake. So such is Duryodhan. He's so political. His every word is choice. Is a choice word to hurt only. Whereas and you can see how political he was with Dronacharya and Bhishma. But Arjuna was very respectful. Arjuna, the Pandavas, very respectful, and they were kind towards the junior and people in the kingdom. Whereas you look at how Duryodhana is thinking, hey, all of these who have come, they will die for me. I don't mind, they're dying, living. I'm getting what I want. That's it. So you can see behind the scene how Duryodhana is thinking and how Arjuna is thinking. Let's finish the last verse. Then we'll break. Then I'll stop for questions. Sanjay Uvacha. Evam uktva Arjuna Sankhe Ratopasata Upavishataha Visjaya Sasaram Chapam Shoka Samvigna Manasaha. So Sanjay is the one who is Sanjay is another personality who is telling the whole Bhagavad Gita to Dhritarashtra. So he says, Sanjay said, Arjuna, having thus spoken on the battlefield, cast aside his bow and arrow and sat down on the chariot, his mind overwhelmed with grief. While observing the situation of his enemy, Arjuna stood up on the chariot, but he was so afflicted by lamentation that he sat down again, setting aside his bow and arrow. Such a kind and soft hearted person in the devotional service of the Lord is fit to receive self knowledge. Okay. 2, 3 points here that he couldn't take it. Basically, killing his own kinsman, he couldn't take that concept to his heart. I'm killing my own family members. I will better die, but I don't want to do this. So he kept his bow and arrow aside. His weapons he dropped and he just sat on his chariot, literally crying. So, such a kind and soft hearted person, they only can, in the devotional service of the Lord, they only can receive the self knowledge. So, the qualification is to have that soft heart. That qualification is to have the kindness. A kind and a soft person can take and can grasp the message of Bhagavad Gita. Okay. So let's stop and if there are any questions or comments, any questions or comments. This is a very important point, to be kind and to be soft hearted. This is minimum required to receive spiritual knowledge. We see many false people who are now caught in scams and abuse. They abuse women, they abuse children, but they show themselves to be like spiritual people. So they externally they show they are very soft hearted, but in their heart they are not at all kind. They're exploitative. So many Babajis we are hearing from last so many years, we are hearing, they have been caught, not just in India, but in all over the world. So many spiritualists, uh, they are either after money or they are abusing children, especially women. Scams keep coming up because externally they show they are very soft hearted, they'll speak very softly and all that, But no, internally the kindness is not there. Internally there's an exploitative mentality. So any questions or comments? Okay. Okay, so if you don't have any questions, comments, let's